Hey guys, today I'm going to share everything you need to know about the Youth Mobility Scheme visa for moving to the UK. Now this visa is the one that I came to the UK on as a Canadian. It is the simplest visa to apply for and it is the cheapest. So let's get to it. So first up, who is this visa for? Now, while it is the most straightforward visa, there is a very particular type of person that can apply for this. So you need to be 18 to 30 years old when you apply for the visa. You have to have at least 2,530 pounds in your savings that you can prove. You also need to be from a particular country, and we'll come back to that. There's also a couple of minor requirements, but basically this is a visa for young foreigners from certain countries who want to have international experience for up to 2 years. So because it is a youth visa, the requirements are quite simple and very straightforward, but it is only for 2 years, and that's it. And just as a side note, this visa used to be referred to as a Tier 5. That's what it was called when I applied for it. However, they've scrapped that title. Now it is just simply Youth Mobility Scheme visa, just in case you see that stuff online. It used to be called Tier 5, but it is the same visa. Like I mentioned, this visa is only available for people with certain passports. And I am so sorry, any Americans watching, this one is not for you. So we are talking Australia, Canada, Monaco, New Zealand, San Marino, and Iceland. Now you can apply for this visa if you are from one of those countries, pretty straightforward. In addition, you must be selected in the Youth Mobility Scheme ballot before you can apply for this visa if you are from Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea, or Taiwan. And you can also apply for this visa if you are 18 to 30, but you are a British overseas citizen or you are a British national overseas. Now, say you meet those requirements, you're the right age, you're the right nationality, and you are able to prove that you have a certain amount of savings. The next question is, when can you apply? The earliest you can apply for this particular visa is up to 6 months prior before your intended travel date. Now, once you've applied, you've proved your identity, you've submitted all the documents, and you are waiting. Typically, they say it can take about 3 weeks for a decision. However, that does change quite a bit. The UK Gov website usually has an updated waiting time page. So I'll make sure to put all the links in the description that you can check it out before you are starting to plan out when you'd like to apply and when you'd like to move. Make sure to check out the visa processing waitlist or the waiting times to give yourself a good idea on how long things are taking right now. Now, this visa is for 24 months, a solid 2 years. You can come and go as many times as you want within those 2 years. You don't have to spend the entirety in the UK. You can maybe go back home, come back, whatever you want. You have those 2 years. However, once your visa is approved and you get your entry window, there's a window of time when they want you to enter the UK to get your visa started. Once your visa time has started, that's it. You can't pause it. You can't do this visa another time. That is the go time. That's it. You gotta really make the most of it. Next up, we are talking about the costs. So the Youth Mobility Scheme visa is one of the cheapest visas, but that does not mean it's free. So we have a couple of costs to consider. Now, the application itself, the visa itself, currently costs £259. Separate to that, you also have to pay something called the National Health Surcharge. This is a non-negotiable fee that is separate to the visa, but it is absolutely required. Now, this figure does change, so do make sure to check online. Currently, it is £470 per year. So because this is a 2-year visa, you're going to be paying that twice. So we're talking, £940 for this visa. Now, even though this National Health Surcharge fee is listed per year, you have to pay all of it up front for the duration of your visa. So because the Youth Mobility Scheme visa is 2 years, you are going to pay the 2-year lump sum with your application. Now, one of the requirements for this visa is you have to prove that you have a certain amount of savings that you have access to help support you in the UK. Basically, the UK does not want you to come here with no money in your pocket. So in order to be approved in the first place, you have to prove that you have access to money. Currently, this savings figure requirement is £2,530. Now, if you are, say, Canadian like me, of course, back home in Canada, when I was applying for this visa, I had a Canadian bank account that held Canadian money. So I had to show proof that the amount of Canadian dollars in my bank account was at least equal to or greater than this particular requirement fee. It's not really a fee because you're not paying it to anybody, but you need to prove that you have these savings. So currently, at the time of filming, if we are talking about £2,530, that is roughly 3,904 Canadian dollars. So it is quite a lot of money. But again, this is a non-negotiable requirement. And you need to be able to prove that you have access to this money. Now, it's good to keep in mind there are a couple of things that you cannot do while on this visa in the UK. Things like you cannot work as a professional sports person, like a coach. You cannot extend this visa or extend your stay. You cannot get public funds from the government, and you cannot bring in family members on your application. They would need to apply separately for themselves. You can also not apply for this visa if you have children under the age of 18 who live with you, children you are financially responsible for, or you are already in the UK under this scheme. All this really means is that this particular visa is for young people from certain countries. You need to prove that you have savings and you are allowed to be in the UK for 2 years. You can't extend your stay. You can't be bringing in family members. You can't have children who are dependent on you. It's really for those young people looking to get international experience. Next up, we are talking about what documents do you need as part of your application. And to be honest, this visa is very straightforward, so you actually don't need that much. You will, however, need a valid passport or other document that shows your identity and nationality. You're going to also need an official bank statement showing that you have access to £2,530 in savings, and you may need a tuberculosis test result, but that is only in particular cases for particular passport holders. You're also going to need a blank page in your passport because you are going to get a temporary visa sticker. So they need to have a spot in your passport for that sticker. If by any chance you have a full passport, which right on, that's awesome, you are going to have to get a new passport so you have that empty page. And finally, you are going to need a certified translation of any documents you provide that are not in English or Welsh. And that's it. So the next step is to simply apply. Yay, how exciting. Honestly, I'm so excited for you. Now, make sure to read the Youth Mobility Scheme guidance online. Again, I'll put all the links in the description. Make sure to give that a read over in case anything has changed or the figures for any of the fees have changed. When you apply, you are also going to have to pay that lump sum for your health surcharge, so make sure you have the money for it. And don't forget, if you are from Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea, or Taiwan, you must be successfully selected in the Youth Mobility Scheme ballot before you can apply. But for any like Canadians or Australians watching, you don't have to worry about that. So for this visa, you're gonna apply online from your home country, but you also need to provide evidence of your identity. So this can be done in 2 ways. You can either have your fingerprints and your photograph taken at a visa application center. This is to get your biometrics residence permit, or you can use the UK Immigration ID Check app, To scan your identity document, you're then also going to make an account on their particular service. Now, you're going to be told what you need to do when you apply. For me, I did the first option. So I applied online and then I went to an appointment in Toronto at the Visa Application Center. So at my appointment, I had my photo taken, I had my signature taken, I also had my fingerprints taken. It is quite a lot. It's a little bit intimidating, but honestly, the appointment itself was very painless, and these elements are vital in proving who you are. So what happens next? You've sent off your application, you've applied, you've paid, you've gone to your biometrics appointment. All you gotta do now is wait, which honestly is easier said than done. But hopefully in a couple of weeks, you'll get your result, and hopefully it's a positive one. Now, when you get your result and you get your documents, you will be provided with all the information you need for the next step. So make sure to celebrate and then take a minute and read through everything. So for me, what happened was I got my approval, I got all my documents, I got my passport back, because of course you have to send off your passport with your application. And inside my passport was this big temporary visa sticker. I was also given a window of time that I needed to enter the UK. So what happens is I entered the UK within that window on my temporary visa sticker in my passport. So that gave me entry into the UK, but that is just a temporary visa to get you inside. When you are inside the UK, you have to pick up your biometrics residence permit. And when you get all your documents back with your approval, you will have instructions on where to pick that up. For me, I actually chose a post office that was going to be kind of near where I was living. Otherwise, it's very easy to pick it up in London, but either way, you will be told where to collect it. And please do not forget to pick up this card. While that sticker in your passport gets you into the UK, that's it. It has an expiry date. It is not your official visa. Instead, it is this biometric residence permit card that proves you've been approved for your visa. It has what visa you're on, it has your expiry dates, your valid dates, it has your photo, it has all the really important information on it. And anytime you need to prove that you're allowed to be in the UK, you will use this card, whether that's applying for jobs, whether that's renting an apartment. This card is the most important thing. Now, would I recommend this visa? Absolutely. If you meet the requirements and you are the slightest bit interested in living in the UK, I would 100% recommend it. It has been life-changing for me, and it has just been one of the most important experiences of my life. And the great thing is, if you decide you go through the process, you're approved, you come to the UK, you're in the UK maybe for a year, and you think, I don't really like it, I don't really want this, that's absolutely okay. You can just go home. Your visa will eventually expire, but at least you gave it a try. Now, another question I get quite often is, should I pay for a lawyer or should I get some sort of immigration solicitor to help with this application? To which I say, absolutely no. This visa is very straightforward. It is very simple, and it is the cheapest. Don't waste your money on a solicitor. You can absolutely do this by yourself. And because you need so few pieces of evidence to apply for this visa, you don't have to worry about getting all sorts of documents. It's just very simple, very straightforward. You can absolutely do it without a lawyer. Now, when I applied for this visa, I actually did it through a company in Canada called Swap, or Swap Working Holidays. Maybe you've seen them online before. Basically, they work as a middleman. So they help you apply for it, but they also kind of help you when you are in the UK. They have an office in London where they sort of schedule events, and they can help you meet other expats and all that kind of stuff. Now, looking back, I really didn't need to use Swap. Of course, it is a paid service. So on top of your visa fees and the healthcare surcharge, I also paid Swap to help me with this application. I really didn't need it. I was really interested in using them because they have an office in London, they set up meetups, they can answer questions and all that kind of stuff. But because I didn't end up even living in London, they really couldn't help me when I was in the UK. So, I mean, looking back, I wouldn't have done it, but there are companies like that. If you feel like you need just a little bit extra support, they do exist. Do I think they're worth it? Not really, but it is something that you can look into. Now that is everything you need to know about the Youth Mobility Scheme visa to move to the UK. That was the first visa I did, and honestly, it was life-changing. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below, but otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.